You show up early. You stay late. You answer messages faster than anyone expects you to. You fix problems before they turn into complaints. You clean up mistakes that were never yours to begin with. You make your manager's life smoother without them even asking. It feels like progress. It feels like control. It feels like you're building something solid in your career. People trust you. Your name comes up when things get serious. You become the person things get routed through because you always deliver. So you double down. You become even more reliable, even more consistent, even more valuable. And slowly, without noticing, you stop being seen as someone moving forward and start being seen as someone who holds everything together right where you are. That's the trap. The system doesn't reward effort. It rewards stability. When you perform well in a role, you reduce uncertainty for everyone above you. Your manager has fewer problems. Your team runs smoother. Your output becomes predictable. And in any organization, predictability feels like safety. So the system reacts in a very specific way. It doesn't remove you from that stability. It expands around you. You get more tasks, more responsibility, more important work, but not a new level, not a new title, not a new structure, just more weight inside the same box. Because promoting you creates a problem, your replacement is risky. Training someone new is uncertain, and organizations are built to minimize uncertainty, not maximize fairness. So instead of moving you up, they stretch you sideways. You become the safest pair of hands, the person who just handles it, and the better you perform, the more invisible your ceiling becomes. Hey, I'm Brian, and I spend way too much time thinking about how people actually move through careers versus how they think it works. Treat this like peer review for your career thinking. That's usually the highest ROI. Because what looks like growth is often just containment with better branding. At first, it's subtle. You get trusted with one extra project because you handled the last one well. It feels like recognition. Then it becomes routine. Every urgent issue starts landing on your desk because you're the one who doesn't drop things. You don't push back. You just execute. Then the scope shifts without anyone officially saying it. You're now managing clients outside your role. You're fixing cross-team breakdowns. You're absorbing responsibilities that used to belong to multiple people, but your title stays the same. And eventually, something breaks at a higher level. Leadership needs a fast fix. People point to you again. You step in. You solve it under pressure. Now, you're not just reliable, you're essential. And that's where it tightens. Because essential doesn't get replaced. Essential gets protected. And protected means not promoted. Your workload grows. Your authority doesn't. Your output increases. Your freedom doesn't. You become the person the system cannot afford to lose, right where you are. Here's the part nobody warns you about. You stop expanding. Not because you lose ambition. Because your environment no longer requires it. You become so good at executing your current scope that you stop encountering anything outside it. You get faster, cleaner, more efficient, but only within the same boundaries. And that creates a dangerous illusion. You feel like you're developing, but you're actually refining repetition. Over time, your identity locks into execution, not design, not leadership, not strategy, just delivery. Then one day, a new opportunity appears one level up, and suddenly the question isn't how well you've performed. It's whether you can operate in uncertainty, not just within structure. And there's no evidence in your track record that you can. Not because you can't, because you were never allowed to practice it. The cost is invisible until it becomes a wall. If you're new here and just subscribed, comment your name below. I read every comment and shout out new subscribers in my next video. I do appreciate you joining me on this finance journey. The skills that made you excellent here are not the skills required there. Here, you win by being precise, fast, reliable. You reduce mistakes, you execute instructions, you handle detail without breaking. But the next level doesn't care how well you execute. It cares how well you decide. It cares how you prioritize when nothing is clear, how you influence people who don't report to you, how you create direction when none exists. And organizations don't bridge that gap for you. They assume you already have it. So they look for signals, not execution quality, not reliability, but behavior that shows you can operate without structure. The problem is, if you're already excellent at execution, You rarely get pulled into those messy, undefined situations. You stay in the clean work, the safe work, the work you're trusted with. So you never build the next layer of skill. And when promotion time comes, you're not evaluated on what you did well. You're evaluated on what you've never been forced to do. Over time, organizations stop seeing your work. They start seeing your category. You become the operations person, or the analyst, or the one who fixes things. Not because that's your limit, but because that's your history. And history is sticky. Every new task you complete reinforces the same mental label. Every successful delivery tightens the association. You become more defined, not more flexible. At first, it sounds like recognition. You're the go-to person. But eventually, go-to becomes something more limiting. Go-to becomes default, and default becomes identity. And in that identity, everything else starts to disappear. Not because you can't do other things, but because they can't imagine you doing anything else. And once imagination closes, opportunity usually follows it out the door. Your growth doesn't get evaluated by what you've learned. It gets filtered through what you've already been labeled as capable of. You did everything right. You showed up consistently. You delivered without drama. You solved problems before they escalated. You made things easier for everyone around you. You became the person the system could rely on without hesitation. And somehow, that's the problem. Because playing the game correctly at your level doesn't automatically move you to the next one. It often does the opposite. It makes you too useful to lose, but not positioned to replace anyone above you. That's the fairness paradox. The more stable you make your environment, the less urgency there is to change your position in it. If everything runs smoothly, because of you, nothing feels broken enough to justify moving you. You weren't overlooked because you failed. You were overlooked because you worked. And the system quietly rewards the absence of problems more than the presence of ambition. So your competence doesn't create momentum upward. It creates comfort around your current placement. Promotions don't happen in performance reviews. They happen in conversations you're not in. In rooms where people are not reading your output, but interpreting your trajectory. Performance data tells them you're good. It tells them you're reliable. It tells them you've mastered your current level. But narrative tells them something else entirely. Narrative tells them whether you look like someone already operating above your role. Whether you create clarity or just execute it. Whether you're seen leading outcomes or just delivering tasks. And silence matters more than most people realize. If you're quietly excellent, low friction, always dependable, you get interpreted as stable, and stable gets mistaken for satisfied. So leadership doesn't see urgency. They see contentment, even when it doesn't exist. And in that gap between performance and narrative, decisions are made. Not on what you did, on what story your presence suggests. The people who move up are not always the best performers in their current role. They are the most visible about where they are going next. They don't just execute work, they frame it, they talk about it, they connect it to outcomes above their pay grade. They make their ambitions observable without waiting for permission. They ask for scope that stretches them. They step into meetings that aren't technically theirs. They make it known that they are building towards something beyond their current definition. And most importantly, they introduce urgency, not aggression, not entitlement, just clarity that time is moving, and so are they. They don't let their career look static from the outside. Because static looks like satisfaction. And satisfaction rarely gets prioritized for promotion. At some point, staying excellent at your current role becomes the very thing slowing you down. Not because excellence is bad, but because it consumes all your bandwidth inside a system that already knows what to do with you. So the shift is not working harder. It's reallocating effort. Less obsession with perfect execution inside your current box. More deliberate energy spent learning what sits outside it. That might mean saying no to certain tasks you could do flawlessly. It might mean letting some things be slightly less optimized. Not careless, just not over-engineered. And using that recovered time to build the skills your next role actually requires. Not later. Now. Because readiness is not declared at promotion time. It's accumulated long before it. The real trap was never incompetence. It was optimized competence. You learned how to be excellent at a level that rewards repetition, stability, and reliability, and you became very good at it. So good that the system stopped imagining you anywhere else. Competence is not a strategy. It is a baseline. It keeps you safe. It keeps you trusted. But it does not automatically move you forward. Comfort and progress are not the same direction. One rewards consistency, the other requires displacement. And most people spend years confusing being valuable with being movable. So they stabilize, they become essential, and they mistake that essentiality for advancement. Until eventually, they realize something uncomfortable. They didn't fail to grow. They successfully mastered a level that was never designed to take them further. And by the time that becomes clear, they are no longer just doing the job. They are maintaining a role that has already defined them. Not because they lacked potential, but because they optimized so well for the wrong position that leaving it stopped being obvious. And that is the real trap. Not that you weren't good enough to move up, but that you became too good at staying where you are.